In Singapore, we had to serve in national service, military. So the Lord gave me a conviction that the military was my mission field, because the Lord really gave me a passion to reach people for Christ. Only my problem is that I did not know how to share my faith. I would argue my case, win the case and lose the soul. And I said, Lord, these people are not interested, they are not serious about the word. Here I am sharing my faith like crazy, some fantastic, powerful challenge of the word for commitment. They're playing ping pong. I say, Lord, I don't understand. But still one thing, I didn't know how to share my faith. And so at last, it came about in 1974, Campus Crusade for Christ. They had a big meeting in Korea called Explo 74. And so they said, do you want to go this place? And I said, well, now you're talking business, because Bill Bright is there, Billy Graham and all these big guys. Now that's my type of people. And so we went there in 74. This was a big conference there, and there were 323,000 who were there in training. And for the first time, I was exposed what it means to share my faith. But I was a non-believer. Meaning, I look at them and they're sharing their faith and say, who is going to sit down and listen to the little book that you're going to share about? You got to be kidding, cold turkey on the streets. I've never done that before. And then, of course, I learned what it meant to be filled with the Holy Spirit. Sharing, being filled with the Spirit by faith. And so I prayed to be filled with the Holy Spirit, that they send you on the streets in the midway of the course. So here we are, going to the streets. We shared our faith, and one side is in English, just as Korean. And they led themselves to the Lord. So there were a couple of them receiving Christ that way, and I thought, good night. They must be probably just polite people in Korea. Pretended they're receiving Christ and just make you happy and go away. So I came back to Singapore, and I was sharing the faith using the 4 spiritual laws. Well, I did not share until one Crusade fellow says, you come back from Korea, what are you doing? I said, what am I doing? I'm back to work. He says, no, are you sharing your faith? So in good obedience, I began to share my faith, and then the soldiers were receiving Christ. But here again, I was not believing. I said, no, they are receiving Christ because of my rank. But later on, I realized that God had begun the work the first day. So instead I said, goodness, what do I do? I shared the 4 spiritual laws, and several who became pastors will call me Mr. 4 Spiritual Laws today because of that season of time. But it was so exciting because 6 years I was not able to lead someone to the Lord. But within a week of my returning home, more than a dozen had received Christ. So that was extremely life-changing. And so the idea of initiative evangelism, instead of people coming to us, we go to them, we approach them. I was afraid to share my faith. The reason is this: the people were not receiving Christ. And so I thought myself, I was unsuccessful. I was a failure. But the impact of the training in Seoul, Korea was this: success in witnessing is simply sharing Christ in the power of the Holy Spirit and leaving the results to God. And so that was so liberating. The question whether it's successful was whether I was sharing the power of the Holy Spirit. And now I knew I was. And I could leave the results to God and say, God, praise be to you. If the person received Christ, I rejoice. If the person does not, I trust that the Lord will continue to work in his life. And the privilege of leading that person to Christ is so fantastic. Just to bring the message in love. And the Holy Spirit does the rest.